Rattler fans, welcome to a very special edition of Talkin Rattlers, where the banter is never out of season. Back and better than ever. David Tovar and a special guest host joining me, Joe Rodriguez. Joe, guest indeed, a star nonetheless. And Joe, you know, if you've caught any of our baseball broadcasts, you know it's the Dave and Joe show, and we have a lot of fun, and we like chit-chatting about our Rattlers and other random topics in sports and in sports entertainment. So let's start off with our Rattlers. It is Talkin Rattlers. This weekend, the men win some big games against McMurray, and then on Thursday they beat St. Ned. So we'll start with the Battle of the Saints. Men kind of grind one out, and they get the victory. Ladies roll as they've been rolling through the conference. They're 6-0 thus far. Then they beat McMurray. They roll on them in the second half. And the same could be said about the men. They really struggled in that first half, and they explode on a 24-9 run to begin that second half, and they win 71-50. Your thoughts and impressions from those games?
Well, I think that the McMurray games especially, both teams kind of came out slow, feeling their way out a little bit on the Saturday games. But then when the second half came around, both teams, adjustments at halftime, made them beautifully, and they came out on top. Both teams held both, surprisingly. McMurray, the women's game, they scored 30 in the first half, scored 30 in the second half. For the men, they scored 25 in the first half, 25 in the second half. Rattlers were able to better their results in the second half, made those adjustments, came out in two amazing games we saw from Jackie Woods and Kevin Kotzer, as both teams hold true this past week at home.
Yeah, you know, you bring out a lot of symmetry in both those games, and I guess the most important symmetrical factor. So they were both Rattler wins, and the men improved to 12-3. The women improved to 6-0 on the conference mark. And of course, they'll be on the road. The men have 4 road games. The ladies do as well, and so the road has been has been very unkind to the men's Rattlers. They've dropped 2 in a row, and they look to bounce back over there and bring home a 4-game win streak, and all of those on the road.
Yeah, and it's really trying and tough time. But really, it's a good time for the Rattlers to have this 4-game road streak, if you ask me. Kind of nearing the end of their schedule. They're going to have to start getting ready for tournament play. This will help them be able to get into their routine so that they'll be able to go far in the tournament and hopefully bring home another Heartland Conference title like they did last year and go far in the tournament. We'll see.
Yeah, you speak about the Heartland Conference title. The Lady Rattlers, last year, they sneak into the Heartland Conference tournament. This year, it looks like they have the target on their back. They are atop of the conference. For the men, we've talked about it all year. The goal is not to get to the conference tournament. It's to win it again and get right back into that Heartland Conference, get back to the NCAA regional, the NCAA tournament, and do some damage. They were close last year against Midwestern State. I think this team is primed exactly for that.
And the team's led by 3 great seniors that we see. Daryl Taylor, DT, Moses Sundufu, of course, on the wings. And then, of course, Kevin Kotzer in the middle, bringing it all together.
And so big things are expected out of both the Rattler basketball teams, and we hope to see that. Next home game is until February the 7th, so it's going to be a long, long time until we see our Rattlers. But there's another sport starting up in February, and that is your expertise, Joe. That's why I got you here with me. Rattler baseball. Number 1 ranked Rattler baseball, to be exact.
Just to mention.
just a little caveat there. They will. First pitch is February the 1st, I believe.
It will be.
And over at Wolf Stadium, lovely facilities. We love the people at Wolf. And, well, Joe, you're telling me about this during the Saturday broadcast. But tell me, of course, this team deserves to be number 1, but why?
Well, the first thing that this starts with is pitching. Carl O'Neill, considered the best pitcher in Division II baseball. He is absolutely incredible. Renee Solis, another All-American for this team. And then also, bringing it together, you got Jonathan Perez, the guy who had the most saves in the nation last year. 3 very, very good pitchers. And not to mention, they got other really great pitchers coming back and some young players developing. I'm excited to see what Mario Maldonado is going to do in his second year. Will he start pitching again? We know he was recruited as a pitcher, but then he came in and played second base very effectively for the Rattlers. It just overall is going to be an amazing year. It's going to be a lot of good pitching. We know Coach Meagle, he can play the small ball, but this team can also hit for power a bit too.
Now, you talk about the pitching, and that's obviously going to be key in big-time games, but this team has some bats as well.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about a one of your favorite players. I think I'll say that on air. Billy Richard,
my favorite player.
The center fielder king.
No, Billy Richard. He's kind of like what you want in maybe a video game leadoff player. I'll be honest. I don't know if you've ever played. I came up with this in my head yesterday. Have you ever played Mario Superstar Baseball?
I have.
You remember what Yoshi? Okay, super fast player, real smart on the base pass, but every now and then he pops one of those balls and it just goes and goes and goes. He gets those line drive base hits, starts off the game beautifully. And then after that, we saw Muchagimba following in that 2-hole. Now, they did lose Tyler Meagle and MP Kokonos. Kokonos, of course, drafted by the Astros, I believe in the 33rd round or so. But Brandon Bates, another big bat, right there, ready to fill in for that role at first base. I'm expecting big things out of him, too. It's overall, and we already talked about Maldonado, overall, it's going to be a great lineup. We're going to see them put some runs on the board.
Safe to say that Rattler Baseball is going to be terrific this season again. #1 ranked in the nation. Rattler fans, stay with us. Talkin Rattlers continues, where the banter is never out of season, right after this.
I'm really excited about what's happening at Rattler soccer games, and we've decided to borrow their best practices for academics too.
What's up, Strader, man? What are you doing tonight, man? Man, I gotta study. I got a red card on my last test.
Hey Danielle, is it true David's doing all the basketball games this year?
That's what I hear. David likes to take up all the camera time.
It's ridiculous.
That's for you.
I like where this is headed.
Welcome back, Rattler fans. The Rowdy Rattler, wait, this is not Rowdy Rattler, we're a legit show. Talkin Rattlers back and better than ever with a banter is never out of season. David Tovar, Joe Rodriguez, our special, very special guest host with me. And well, now we get out of the realm of our favorite team, the Rattlers, and we talk about our other loves, sports in general. That Manti Te'o thing. I mean, it's been addressed on every sports show, every entertainment, and anything. You turn on the TV, you see it. And I mean, I truly don't know what to believe. But what I do know is that I can't believe the catfish. I mean, has struck in a huge, has been a huge impact. Talk about the big fish.
Well, we've heard about this thing called catfishing. There's a show on it.
Yeah.
And it's really not that uncommon of a thing to happen. And in a day and age where you and I live, where we're able to get into contact with people so easily over the
social
internet
media,
and social media, it's something that can happen often. Now, obviously, the only major difference here is that it happened to a Heisman hopeful in Manti Te'o, which is why it's getting so much press.
Yeah.
But my heart really does go out to Manti Te'o.
Yeah.
I hope that when things come to light of this hoax, I guess it would be called, that Manti Te'o is proven innocent, because he is a player who I really enjoyed watching playing, and he's a great guy.
Yeah,
he's a very passionate guy, David.
Guy seems like a tremendous character, nice guy, and you know what I really got out of the thing is a lot of the older generation was, what, you've never met this person and you're in love and you're carrying a relationship? It happens. I've heard it 100 times. A lot of people I know begin relationships through meeting somebody over the internet, and they didn't come out on the front page of every major magazine or newspaper. So our thoughts with Manti if he was hoaxed, but a guy who pretty much gave away his character, Lance Armstrong. I know you want to talk about him.
Yeah, and it's something that is also very sensitive. This guy obviously inspired many people. Stuart Scott, who's in another battle with cancer, as we, send prayers his way. Of course, the host for ESPN Sports Center. Yeah. He says that it doesn't really change his opinion on Lance. And I myself, I've been affected through cancer. My grandmother on my father's side had breast cancer. I'm sure cancer's touched everybody in some way. Yeah. I have Livestrong bracelet. I still wear it because I still believe in the Livestrong cause. Yeah. But the thing that Lance Armstrong did was, whenever he was accused, he would just bring people down with lawsuits to protect his lie. Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't exactly the best, and not a good way of going about it at all.
And the thing is, he will end up paying for that, but it's something that, you have to ask yourself, does, do the ends justify the means? I mean, he raised $500 million for cancer support.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing to do, but, it's a difficult subject indeed, but because you want to be angry as sports fans are.
Yeah.
We as Cowboy fans hate to make the reference, we're used to the roller coaster of emotions that we get.
Yeah.
But with Lance Armstrong, it's just like this whole time we've wanted to believe in Lance. We've wanted to believe in Lance. Most of us only interested in cycling and the Tour de France
because of Lance
Armstrong. A point that was made by during the Mike and Mike show. Can you tell me who the Tour de France winner was this year?
Yeah.
You can?
No, I can. Very true. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
No, yeah.
It's a difficult time, and it's something that we didn't want to see come out, but overall, I think it's more important for the truth to come out in this situation.
Yeah, with Lance, I think I really compartmentalize, him. I choose to remember the $500 million he raised for cancer research, which is, I think, the most important part. And moving on to segueing into kind of a starry subject, the All-Star game in Houston, right around our avenue. Do you like the picks? I like the picks. I'll start. Let me kick this off. I like the picks.
You want to do the West?
Except for Garnett. Don't like Garnett in the East. I love Melo. I love my Heat. I'm still picking him to win the championship this year. Rondo by default, not Duran, not Rose, obviously. Mm-hmm. The West,
LA,
and Durant. So I mean, it's an all-star game. I know Duncan deserves it as a Spurs fan. I'll admit Duncan deserves it, but it's an all-star game. We want to see Dwight throw down and Blake as well.
And just overall, a lot of great players. Be interesting to see the reserves come out.
Yeah, the reserves I think is going to be even better. So we'll go on to our reserve subjects. Remember us on social media. We talked a lot about that here. Social media, Facebook.com/St. Mary's Rattlers. Make sure to like our page. Follow us on Twitter @St. Mary's Rattlers. And, of course, the new look, RattlerAthletics.com. I got it this time, Chad. RattlerAthletics.com, January the 29th, and a special January 24th edition of Talkin Rattlers. It's our 1-year anniversary, and I hope you can join us. And that Super Bowl thing in a couple weeks, we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, maybe give it a mention.
Joe Rodriguez, David Tovar with you, Talkin Rattlers, where the banter is never out of season.